I'm really well, Marianne.
Wow.
Today we're talking about a bird of paradise, and it's amazing. She's holding a huge bunch of these birds of paradise.
How many do we have today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Lucky 7.
Lucky 7. Oh,
Miss
wow.
Bird of Paradise, and the reason why Miss?
Of course, because there's no bulb. It comes,
Correct.
Yeah.
It comes from a root system, and in this case, a very, very big cluster of leaves and birds hiding in the bush, and then all of a sudden it rears its head and it comes out.
I've got to say, that's an enormous plant. It grows up to 2 to 3 metres. It can be huge. Huge.
It certainly is. Now, the thing about Birds of Paradise is that it opens up your third eye.
Right.
And it increases the volume and the confidence in your voice. So if you know anybody struggling to express themselves on stage or even a singing competition, this is the cut flower to have at home around you leading up to that event. So when you get up on stage, or in our case behind a microphone, we are loud and clear.
Loud and clear. It's true. But you probably do know that it was named from, name was taken from Queen Charlotte of Mecklenburg's. It's married to King George III, who went mad.
Indeed. Maybe from too many birdies.
No.
Now, speaking of birdies, a lot of them start off as a really ugly duckling. And let me just hold that closer.
So this is an unopened bird of paradise flower that we're looking at right now. It looks just like a beak closed up.
Indeed. Yeah. So I'm just going to put the cluster of birdies down. I've just put down 6 stems with a few leaves, and I'm concentrating now on one stem that I'm holding. And as we can see there, it's just a naked beak with a little bit of a hat on top. Now, these can last up to 6 weeks, and there is a secret to it. It comes with 3 hats. One is the beak that it's wearing on top, and 2 extra ones inside the beak. So as soon as you see the cluster of flowers on top of the beak go dry, that is the time then to remove it. And it pops, so I'll just bring it closer to the microphone. Did you hear that?
Yes, we heard that big
So that's
pop.
one big pop. Now, believe it or not, we've got 2 extra hats inside the beak. Now, how do we bring them out? Well, you've got to put the beak upside down and drown it into a bucket of warm water. And as soon as that happens, for a minimum of 15 minutes, it then starts to dilate, a bit like a woman in labour.
Okay. Wow.
And as soon as it dilates, we're just going to improvise here and cheat a little bit. If you could just zoom into that. Oh, oops, that's because I didn't soak it. I'm just going to be a Houdini.
Be a Houdini. Inside there's another orange flower.
Yeah.
How magic is that?
So I've just brought that out. It would be a lot more easier to bring out if it was soaked into the warm water, and it stops any breakage. So I've just gone in without doing that. Against the rules. And
that's how they managed to last for so long in the vase. For you've got actually 2 hidden flowers as well as the one that you initially bought or grew.
Indeed. But every time you bring out an extra baby out of the beak, you need to recut the stem on an angle.
Okay. That's right, because ladies love to drink.
They certainly do. Not all women.
No, you know.
But most indeed. So every time you have refreshed the beak, you need to slip on the heels, and I'd say moderate water in the vase, so not shallow and not 3/4. I'd say halfway in the vase.
Now, with your bunch, you've brought in the leaves, which look very much like a banana plant leaves.
It does.
Yes,
indeed.
So those leaves are cut off separately from the flower, and you use those as kind of decoration in the vase as well.
Yeah, well, it just adds to the ambience. I mean, that does. I mean,
very tropical looking.
I love them on their own. Like mixing them, you are. Able to do that, but I just love most cut flowers on their own. Just lots of
the one type.
Yep. And it just screams out. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Mixing it sometimes is a good thing, but every cut flower has its own vase life capacity, and you might get for example, the tiger lily dying off before your strelitzia, your birds of paradise,
Well,
of course.
certainly I don't know any other flower that lasts 6 weeks, but you've also got a very long stem, so that does mean I need a very tall vase.
Indeed, I mean the ratio is 1/3 to the length of the stem.
Wow.
So 1/3 would be the length of the vase. That's my rule. And before I forget, it's indigenous to South Africa.
Well, yeah, so it's actually very drought tolerant and can cope with frosts even, down to -5 degrees.
Very, very hardy.
Tough.
And now I know you love cats.
Yes.
It's mildly toxic to cats. So if you want to enjoy them, make sure your beautiful cats, because your cats are absolutely gorgeous, Marianne.
Oh, thank you.
You need to put these in a very high place so your cats don't reach them. Now, it represents joyfulness, and looking at them, we both know why. It takes you to paradise itself, doesn't it? Hence the name.
It does. Actually, I've got a fun fact. It's apparently pollinated by sunbirds. It also grows other places now, other than was it South Africa?
Indigenous to there.
Indigenous, but it has been sort of naturalised in other countries, and where they have sunbirds, and sunbirds pollinate these flowers. So if you want seeds in Australia, and we don't have sunbirds, people have tried to hand pollinate. So it's very rare for seed capsules to actually appear on a bird of paradise here in Australia.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because hand pollination doesn't work that well. It's a very complicated looking flower, and people are probably finding it hard to find out where the stamens are and what to fluff up.
Have you seen the bigger version of them?
Yes, the Nikolai.
Nikolai. Oh, majestic. Just out. Oh, you don't need to go on a holiday. Just get that plant into your garden space.
Yes.
And just put your sunbed out and just gaze. A nice perv will get you many holidays, a lot of holidays in that trip, I think.
Oh, okay, indeed. Apparently, it's the 9th wedding anniversary flower.
It certainly is. It certainly is. So if you've been together for 9 years.
Yeah, okay, that's not too bad. And means royalty and regal bearing. So I suppose Queen Charlotte liked this flower and probably grew around somewhere, one of the palaces. Do you think?
Or maybe the birds that she was trying to breed were dying on her, and this is second best for her.
Second best for her.
Yeah, but it's also known as crane flower.
Yes.
So birds of paradise, crane flower, and ugly duckling then becomes beautiful if you know what to do.
When you've got a bunch of them like you have, they do look stunning. They do look really outstanding, actually.
They do,
don't they? Yeah.
Pretty.
Very.
And it's certainly a cut flower it's a mood booster, and lasts up to 6 weeks, so in between 4 to 6 weeks. And if you are lacking that energy in your voice, this certainly fixes it. And if you've got anyone that's passed over, this is a cut flower that opens up your crown chakra. So if you want to communicate, for the superstitious who are listening, if you want to communicate with anyone that's passed on, this is certainly a cut flower to have in your space. So whether it's a plant outside or it's cut flowers inside. Strelitzia regina is certainly a cut flower on my bucket list to always have around.
It certainly is. I did have one in my garden, but it had to make way for a larger driveway, unfortunately, and we raise a level. Doesn't transplant very well at all, actually. No, it doesn't. No, it's too big.
Pity.
You can take maybe a small bit, a piece from the side, and try and grow that on, but that's no.
What a pity. I mean, they can grow up, for past 100 years. I once saw a bush that was more than 100 years old.
Wow.
It was
a lot of bush.
A lot of.
And on that note, we're going to finish off. Thanks once again, Mercedes, for coming in and talking to me on Real World Gardener.
It's a pleasure, Marianne.